First test, Gabba behind us. George Dobell, I think you are, and I'm Jarrod Kimber. I'm going to start with, after Mike Atherton called you out last night on your shocking Matt Pryor decision, do you think Matt Pryor will play tomorrow?
Yes, but I think he's just had a fitness test and I don't know the result of it. But from what I've seen in the last couple of days, he looked really, really good. So I saw a couple of I do. And I think they really want him to. Of course it's a risk, and they don't want to take any risks. So you could talk yourself out of it, but just from what I've seen of him in training, yeah, he looked really good.
Australia have not decided on their 11 yet, which I assume means we know their batsmen, and they're deciding between Lyon and Faulkner. It seems like a massive error not to pick Lyon on this wicket, being that we know it's going to flatten out, and he's just going to have to, and we don't know how Watson's going to go.
And an error they keep making. He must be a resilient character to keep coming back into the side. They clearly don't rate him as highly as they should. I think he's a good bowler, I really do.
Bowling average of about 33 international spinner, not bad with a guy with no doosra.
And the fact is that he keeps having to come back in and prove himself when he must feel that he's got the axe hanging over him all the time.
Yeah.
You know, about having been dropped for Agar, etc., which I know batted well, but in retrospect, that's an absolutely dreadful decision.
Well, he was dropped for Maxwell before that, so...
Right, yeah. So I mean, it keeps happening. So you can see why, he must feel quite insecure in the team. And
also means they would have 5 seamers with Watson in Faulkner plays. And it strengthens their batting a little bit, because let's be honest, Faulkner's a far better batsman than Lyon, but 5 seamers?
We shouldn't need that many batsmen if you trusted top order. I actually think that there is a sense that Australia is somewhat resurgent. They were in chaos before the last series in England, and it's certainly not as chaotic now. But these are the little decisions, or the little bits of indecision, that make me think, oh, Lord, have they not learnt anything?
Well,
They've just got to stick with the side now.
I wonder if it's not a bubble that they've created for themselves, where they're basically, a bit like, a boxer beforehand talking himself up and walking around. And then when you actually get in the ring, you suddenly look up and the guy's like a foot taller than you.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that is, we're going to get to tomorrow, and Warner and Johnson and everyone's talked Australia up and said that they're a better team, and then they walk out tomorrow and they realise that their opposition is still better than them.
Well, I don't think there's a massive difference between the sides now. I think there are some really talented players in the Australian side, but Warner suggesting that England are scared of him is just juvenile, really. They've played against an awful lot of very good cricketers, and they're not the England of the 90s who might have been intimidated by the Gabba atmosphere. They're just not going to be like that.
Are you saying they're not scared of a guy who averages 37 in Test cricket?
I think he's a really good player, and he could have a good series, to be fair, but I do think what he said there was foolish.
If he comes out and smashes 100 off 80 balls, the next test they'll be afraid of him. Right at the moment, he hasn't proved to England, or really hasn't proved in Test cricket for a while now, that he's even that David Warner.
No, and those are the sorts of things. I mean, your comparison of the bubble, I sort of think of some of the things I've heard from the Australian players, and the media more, to be fair. I like a guy with a real chip on his shoulder driving around in a big bright sports car who maybe is compensated for deficiencies elsewhere. Do you know what I'm saying? Is that too subtle?
Why do you always have to turn it dirty?
It's not really dirty. And I do think there's an element to that. But look, maybe they'll back it up. I do feel that they've settled on just about the best 12 available. But there are some risks there. But look, there are some risks in the England lineup as well, don't you think? Which actually have been overshadowed a bit.
It is worth talking about the fact that there is a possibility, man for man, that Australia won't feel their bowling attack is that much worse than England with Tremlett, Finn, or Rankin coming in, just because they won't think that they're quite at the level of the Australian bowlers. I would think that's how Australia would feel. We have no idea if that's how it will actually be in real life.
Yeah, well, there's an element of truth in that. I think Swan gives them an edge, England an edge, but...
no Watson, though. I mean, if Watson can bowl, he gives Australian an edge.
No, I see that.
An Australian an edge, but yeah.
But there are a couple of other things in the England lineup. It's quite a long time
since they've all made runs.
Since the number one, one of the opening positions, so the number 6 position, were nailed down in that England side. It's since Strauss and Collingwood, and even in the latter parts of their careers, they were struggling. So you actually go back a few years to England have had solid openers in number 6 position, and Michael Carberry coming in. Good luck to him. People will know the story. It's really lovely that he's won another chance. He's got a lot to prove. He's 33. Not that many 33 openers come into the game. I know he's played one test.
Yeah.
And make a go of it. So he's got he's very unproven. And obviously Root's gone back down the order to number 6. You would think that he would do quite well there, wouldn't you?
Yes. I am assuming it will be a draw. And I'll just look over. It looks quite yellow to me.
I don't think we can really tell from here. I mean,
Well, you can tell me.
it's rained a lot, although
Yeah.
we've had sort of 36 hours without any rain.
And
now.
it's supposed to rain over the course of the test. I just think it's actually, I don't think the Brisbane pitch is as good as it used to be. I think it used to be the best pitch in world cricket. I don't think that's the case anymore. And I think that there may be a bit of rain in the air. So I'm thinking it's going to be a draw again, which is a shame.
They're saying there's a fair bit of pace and bounce in it, aren't they? With that, which side do you think that benefits?
Oh, Australia.
You see, I'm not sure about that because I think most of the England batsmen and most of the England bowlers will like that too.
I think when a wicket's really, really quick and bouncy is one of the few weaknesses that England have ever shown in the last few years.
Such as when they were beaten in Perth.
And when they were beaten in South Africa on a similar pitch again.
In Joburg, it was a bit.
I know it's a long while ago as
and
well.
also it nibbled. And,
I just think that they have lost on those pitches. I would think, if I was doctoring pitches for Australia, I would just go, okay, the one advantage we have is maybe, outright pace. We think England might be weak against that. There's nothing else that Australia has that England could be weak against, realistically. So your best chance is to just do that and hope for the best.
yeah, and that would be interesting. It would certainly be more entertaining than the pitches we saw in England. And I think this is one of the reasons why I think this is set up to be. It could be a really good series. There's been so much hype about it, and actually I don't think there needs to be because I think they're two relatively well-matched teams. Studied with a few really great players. Kevin Peterson played his 100th test. That's exciting. That's a privilege to watch.
Yeah.
So I'm really quite excited by this series, much more so than I was by the one in England.
It's a bit like, though, I just watched the first Hunger Games and the second one's coming out. Like, the second one has to really have a good opening, otherwise I might yawn a little bit. But that's the end of the preview, and can I just apologise now for the fact we're both wearing West Indies shirts?
How bizarre.